victories, all sorts of challenges and adversity, and they've arrived at this moment, the battle for that precious trophy. As we'll see the #2 seed in this playoff, the Florida Gators, taking on another team from the SEC, the South Carolina Gamecocks. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Chris Fowler, joined here as always by Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk, everything has been building to this. It's time for the national championship. Let's crown a champion. The kickoff team is out there, and you can feel the energy. One game to determine the national championship. And he'll just take a knee. Drive will start at the 25-yard line. This line getting set up. It's a first down play. The secondary backed up off the ball now. It's a run to the left.
Well, the back just had nowhere to go. How about the defensive line? They eat up all the blocks up front, freeing those linebackers up to be able to make the play. Just a bad play all around for this offense.
He went backwards on first down, so second and long from the 24. And the quarterback drops back looking for an open man. Finds a man downfield. It's a big gain to the right. Moves his way for a first down to the 35. The Gators come up to the line in the hurry-up.
That was pretty. The receiver broke down his defender on that curl against man-to-man coverage. That's how you win one-on-ones.
It's incomplete. He was hit as he threw. Good pass rush there on first down. And throwing again on 2nd and 10. This time a completion. He has first down yardage at the 46. The Gators pick up enough yardage to get a fresh set of downs.
Oh, that was close. Got just enough for the first down against that man-to-man coverage. Good awareness by the receiver to get past the sticks and move the chains.
And a big game before he goes out of bounds. The offense keeps churning, gets a fresh set of downs.
In all of our prep work coming into this national championship, I really wondered how this secondary would hold up against this quarterback and this group of receivers. They better be ready to make some adjustments because right now, this quarterback is having his way with it.
That's a big game before he goes out of bounds. It'll move the sticks, more than enough for a first down. And the Gators with 1st and 10 here. Moving the receiver now before the snap. Quick pass. Here comes a jet sweep. They stop him after a 6-yard gain, so 2nd and 4.
Here early in the game, the defense right away realizes what they're up against. Having an opportunity to move this receiver around to give him a chance to get out in space are the plays that can really cause a defensive coordinator headaches.
They bring him down after a gain. Looks like they'll spot it inches short of a first down. Here we go, 3rd down, close to the goal line. They can still get a fights his way in for the score. Touchdown, Gators. Who says you need explosive plays, Kirk? That was a long, grinding scoring drive.
And think about this. This is a national championship, and you're able to execute like that against this quality of a defense. That is a great job by the coordinator and the quarterback being in sync and putting together a heck of a drive.
Doesn't bring the kick out. Touchback. They'll start at the 25. Big guys up front lined up. It's first down. They'll try the ground game here with the running back. They'll stop him behind the line for a loss of 1. Well, they don't block the defensive end and show some quickness, Kurt, getting around the edge that time.
Yeah, this guy's usually getting around the edge to put pressure on the quarterback, but he reminds everybody here that this guy's a complete package. Not only can he pressure the quarterback, but also he is very, very talented and shows you the physicality he has against the run as well. Chris, I don't know if it's the hype of the national championship, the timing between the quarterback and his receivers, but they have not been able to get anything going at all here in the first half. And the problem is they're already down in this game. They've got to put the ball through the air and start hitting some passes, or there's no chance they come back and have a chance to win.
Throws to the tight end. Fired into a tight window and picked off. And he's got some open field ahead. Going to take it all the way in. Pick six. Touchdown, Florida. And now the try here for the extra point. The kick sails through, so the lead is 14-0. Now the kickoff team is out on the field. He's going to try for a return from a couple of yards deep in the end zone. He'll be tackled at the 17. Strong job by the coverage team. And the Gamecocks offense is back out there on the field. It'll be interesting to see if this quarterback can bounce back. He threw a pick six in the last possession.
Everybody always wants to talk about quarterbacks today and receivers, and don't get me wrong, that's a big part of the evolution of the game and where we are. And for me, as a fan, when I'm watching the game, there's just something satisfying about the teams and the offenses that still have backs that can carry the ball and come up with plays like that. Move those sticks and keep this drive going.
So after the incompletion, it's second down. There's the snap. Looking to throw the ball. Short pass finds the tight end. Tackle made to the 41. That's a nice gain, getting closer to midfield.
Chris, we get so caught up on these wide receivers and their playmaking ability and getting them the ball in space. Like the defense has to pay attention to them. Often too much attention opens up an underneath drag route like this, and quarterback makes a good read. Nice first down.
He'll be taken down, but he crosses midfield to the 48.
Nothing better than an offense on first down to be able to pick up big positive yards like that. You can either keep giving it to the back, or it can set up play action and get the defense to come up to the line of scrimmage, and you can throw it over top of them.
The offense will set up on 1st and 10. And here's the handoff. And he's stopped after gaining 4 yards, so 2nd and 6.
When you can get good chunks of yardage like this on early downs, it just keeps you on schedule, leading to more manageable third down situations. Never underestimate the value of consistently getting 4 or more yards a pop like that.
Powerful running into the secondary. They bring him down, but an explosive play by this offense. Big gain. And they pick up the first down as the fullback becomes involved as a playmaker, a guy we usually see throwing blocks.
Yeah, this guy actually played running back in high school. He got a little bit bigger. They moved him to fullback. You can see the athletic ability that still displays. And you're right, he's a physical guy known for his blocking. But with that background, you can see the damage he can do to a defense.
And it's incomplete. The defender arrived the same time as the football. And now it's 2nd down.
You get a tight end like this, and you know he's used to dishing out the punishment. But here, he's the one that has to absorb the contact, and as a result, he's unable to hold on to the football.
7th play of the drive coming up. And he's back to throw again on 2nd and 10. And he'll loft it to the end zone. And it's caught. Touchdown, Gamecocks.
Well, that's a thing of beauty right there. Good job all around. Offensive line gave the quarterback enough time. Quarterback puts it right on the money. And with this receiver running a route like this, makes it pretty simple. All you have to do is get his head turned around, catch that football. He's already in the end zone for the touchdown.
The extra point, they're down 14-7 now. kickoff team is on the field to boot this one away. And he's going to bring this out from a couple yards deep in the end zone. And he stopped at the 20, trying to make something happen, but that's good coverage there. So the offense calls a timeout here. That's their first of the half. Fresh set of downs for the offense. First down. The DB's backing off from the line now. And he's looking to make a big play downfield. The catch is made for a huge pickup. The Gators come to the line looking to crank up the tempo.
What a pitch and catch by the quarterback and receiver for a big gain for this offense.
First down, looking to throw the ball. Receiver looks it in. It's complete.
Any good offense has to have a reliable, quick to intermediate passing game. Even though that wasn't enough for the first down, it's plays like this that help you sustain drives and not get stuck with third down and long.
And the ball is hauled in. Defense makes the stop after the completion. The catch makes it a more manageable third down. Looking to pick up the first down through the air. And the completion made. Heads out of bounds after a solid gain, more than enough to pick up a first down.
That's another positive game here for this offense, and this defensive coordinator is going to have to make some kind of adjustments to get this quarterback out of his rhythm. It's the national championship, man. You've got to take chances and mix up your coverages because right now what you're doing just isn't working.
They stop at the 22. This offense in great scoring position now. So here we go, first play of the quarter. The offense has a first down. There's the snap, and he's looking to throw. Goes to his right side there for the completion. They make the tackle, but it sets the offense up for a first and goal from the 10.
That's another huge game for this guy, and I'll tell you what they're doing a good job of is moving him around. He's not aligning just in one spot where the defense has an idea of where he is to try to take him out of the game. They've moved him around, given him a chance to get some one-on-one.
Makes the grab in the end zone. Touchdown, Gators.
Boy, what a job by the offensive coordinator going to that 5-wide receiver set, creating the one-on-one matchups, finding the most favorable matchup, and then going to that receiver for the score.
So they'll try to add to the lead now with the PAT. With the extra point, the lead is 14. Now they get set to kick it away. He thought about returning it, but instead takes a knee. It'll be a touchback, and they'll start at the 25. And the South Carolina offense is back out on the field. The last possession, they really had the passing game clicking, moved right down the field for a touchdown. Testing the right side here. Defense able to stop the ball carrier there. The Gamecocks will hustle to the line to run the hurry-up offense. Quarterback looking to throw it on second down. Intercepted, picked off by the defense. Not much on the return there, but the takeaway will set up the offense at the 38. First down play call. How aggressive will it be? Defensive backs up at the line, showing press. He's looking deep here. Downfield shot falls incomplete. Couldn't quite connect there.
Well, the offense coordinator with the right call, trying to take a shot there, but just poor execution. They couldn't come up with a big play. Let's see if the coach tries it again later, and maybe in the second half.
He's back to throw again on second down. That one falls incomplete. Looking for a flag, doesn't get it. Brings up third down.
What a hit there by the defender. Tough for the receiver to hold on to the football when he has that kind of contact. Good, clean play by the defense.
Dropping back, looking to throw for the first down. And looking for a big play here. That one falls incomplete. They tried to press it deep, but now it brings up fourth down. The Gators will look to convert here on fourth down.
Hey, it's an incompletion, but it's a nice job by the quarterback. I know it didn't pan out, but the most important thing is he didn't turn the football over and he didn't take a sack. It'll give your kicker a chance to put some points on the board if they opt for the field goal here on fourth down.
Fourth down. He's throwing for it. And here comes a deep shot. Can't connect on the long throw. Incomplete. A fourth down stop.
Oh, my gosh. A drop pass here on this fourth down play. Everything was perfect. The execution is there. The route is nice. The ball is on the money. All he has to do is catch it, and it's a first down, and he drops it. This one could come back to haunt him.
Handoff to the right side. The junior able to bring him down quickly.
You know, in that era that we live in right now, everybody wants to spread the field around, try to create space, try to create one-on-one matchups, and the defense has countered over the years by trying to play out wide. But here's a great example. The defense has the ability to play wide, but still be solid at the line of scrimmage and not give up big run plays.
First down play call coming up. How aggressive will it be? There's the snap. Quarterback setting up the throw. Short connection to the tight end here. Defense reacts quickly. A very short gain on the play.
And there's the tight end who shows off his hands.
That completion makes it second and medium. And they'll keep it on the ground. Running back has the handoff. Finding space at the 20. And a big gain before he goes out of bounds. The offense keeps churning, gets a fresh set of downs. Well, he finally goes out of bounds down inside the 10, but that play sets up this offense in good scoring position.
It sure does. What a great play of creating momentum for this offense. Now you want to see if they give this back a chance to put it into the end zone now that they're first and goal.
Catch made, but the defense gobbles him up for just a short gain. Second down and goal upcoming. Trying for the touchdown, they'll test the left side. Couldn't quite get there, brought down at the 2. The Gamecocks will come to the line to run the hurry up. They'll try to run this one in. Tackle behind the line, it's a loss of 2. They'll pass up the chip shot field goal. They'll go for it on fourth and goal from the 4. The offense will take their first 10 out of the half to talk strategy here. They keep the kicker on the sidelines. It's fourth down from the 4. They're going for it. Quarterback sets up, looking for an open man. Bringing pressure. And he's brought down. A sack will end this drive. Huge play here by the defense.
Instead of getting points here and going for the field goal, this offense decides to get aggressive, and the offensive line gives up the sack. It looked like they miscommunicated. The defense, to their credit, is able to get after the quarterback, and they come up with not only a stop, but now they get the ball back themselves.
And the Florida offense is back out on the field now. Last time out there, they got stopped on 4th down, but it didn't cost them anything. Let's see what the mindset is here. It's a short game, but look at that defense swarm to the football. Second down after that run on the previous play. We've reached the 2-minute warning here. Let's see if this offense can build on this big lead before halftime. Quarterback operating an empty set. Corners back up now, playing a couple yards off the ball. They look to throw it here on second down. And it's complete downfield. And the gain just good enough for a first down. Tackle is made, but the junior quarterback shows off his arm strength that time. Here comes a first down pass attempt. And it's incomplete even on a first down throw. He was under some heavy pressure. Incompletion makes it second down. And he'll set up to throw. Quarterback looks to his right and finds his man. Tackle made after a solid gain. Will spot the ball for 31. And the Gators hustle to the line to run the hurry up. Looking to throw again. Receiver makes the grab. He stopped, but he gets a first down. The Gators come to the line to start a fresh set of downs. Defensive coordinator looking to bring some pressure. On 1st and 10, looking to throw. And they heave it deep downfield. And it's intercepted. They bring him down after a short return, but the takeaway at the 26-yard line is huge.
Boy, Chris, he hesitated just enough to give the defense a chance to get in position and come up with a big turnover.
And the Gamecocks offense is back out there on the field. Not a whole lot of time remaining before halftime to cut into this lead. Off the play fake, looking to throw on first down. Trying to create outside the pocket now. QB to the tight end for a completion. Runner scoots out of bounds after gaining decent yards.
Well, the defensive coordinator is accounting for everybody except the tight end. He couldn't have been any more wide open on that play. Nice gain downfield by the big man.
Trying to extend the play. And they hit him just as he releases the ball. It's incomplete.
How about the defense's effort here? You're dealing with one of the more athletic quarterbacks in the country. Anytime he scrambles, you better have 3 or 4 guys pursuing the football. They do a good job of affecting his rhythm by pressuring him to the whistle.
And he's brought down, but not before he gets first down yardage.
Well, it's a great job here by this offensive line and running back to be able to pick up the first down. Let's face it, they've dug themselves a hole here in this first half. The only way they can get back into this game is converting on 3rd down. It's exactly what they were able to do, get a new set of downs and a chance to put points on the board.
And that run is good for first down yardage, a new set of downs for this offense. Looking for a deep completion. And the pass is dropped incomplete. Would have had a huge gain. Took his eye off the ball. Second down play coming up for this offense. Here's the snap. Quarterback looking to throw. Catch made on the out route. Timeout is called to talk strategy late in this close game with halftime approaching.
Well, that's a nice completion to the sideline with great timing. The connection between the receiver and the quarterback was on full display to be able to get that first down.
On 1st and 10 here, looking to throw the ball. Physical defending. That one falls incomplete. Brings up second down. Quarterback drops back, probing the secondary. That's going to be incomplete. A lot of contact, no flag, brings up third down.
Man, Chris, I don't know if that was a bad read by the quarterback or a bad route by the receiver. They got to get this cleaned up before the next time they go through the air.
So the offense getting set. This is not where you want to be against this defense. Third and long. Dropping back, looking to throw for the first down. That one is incomplete. The defender was right there, and it brings up fourth down now.
Well, Chris, obviously they had to go through the air there to try to pick up this third down and long, but when you're so far behind the chains that you really allow this defense to dictate things, and it allows them to put pressure on your quarterback and can affect the timing, as we saw on this play.
Trying for a fourth down completion. He's picked for a third time tonight. Going the other way, can they stop him? Steps out after a crucial takeaway. This could be a big turning point.
That offensive coordinator is going to have some choice words for his quarterback over the phone on the sideline after that throw. You have to be more careful with the football.
First play of the drive, they come out throwing. He's going for a big play downfield. Oh, it's picked off. What a play. Finally able to take him down, but that's a great return after the pick. The offense spends their final timeout of the half here to talk strategy.
Well, this quarterback's got to regroup. That's his second interception in this game right now. He's got to do a better job. But, Chris, it's easy to sit up here and say that. Could be the receiver running the wrong route. Balls sometimes can...
And he's going to fling it deep, going for it all here. And it falls incomplete. They tried for a huge gain there, but that's it for this period. Meeee's going to wrap up the first half here. Let's kick it down to Kevin Connors with our halftime update. The Gators will kick this away to begin the second half. So no return here. He takes it in the end zone, and they'll begin the drive at the 25. And the South Carolina offense is back out on the field. First play of the second half is a handoff. And the sophomore able to bring him down quickly. The Gamecocks hustle to the line to run the hurry up. And there's the handoff. They bring it down to the 38, but that's good enough for a first down.
Well, this is exactly where you find out what you're made of as a team. When you're trailing coming out of the half, how do you respond? Well, we know how this running back's going to respond. What a statement to get this second half started.
Picks up a short gain, but his swarm of the defense flying to the football.
Chris, you know, the spread era over the years has always grown offensively, but what I've been always impressed with defenses that really build their defense to play in space still have an ability to be sound at the line of scrimmage and defend a running game. That's exactly what we saw right there.
But they don't make the connection. That one is incomplete.
Well, they don't make the completion here. The timing seemed to be off between the quarterback and the receiver. But, man, this defensive coordinator, he may want to consider getting more pressure on this quarterback by changing some things up. He's got a lot of time back there to throw the ball. And eventually, it's going to cost you.
On third down, he drops to throw. Cannot connect. Incomplete, and now fourth down.
Boy, this is all about the defense here. Nice stop here on third down, but really it's about trying to get this offense behind the sticks. Once you get them behind the sticks, you can mix up your coverages, really affect the quarterback's eyes and disrupt the timing and the rhythm of what the offense is trying to do. Now we've got another big fourth down coming up.
The offense trailing here in the second half. This is a crucial fourth down try. Here's the snap. Quarterback drops back. Another interception. Wow, that's his fourth tonight. Big takeaway. Now looking for a big return. Brings the interception all the way back. Touchdown, Florida. Kicking team on now for the extra point. And the extra point makes it a 28-7 game. Here's the kickoff team. Let's see if they give the returner opportunity to bring this back. And so it'll be a touchback. Ball spotted at the 25. And the Gamecocks offense is back out there on the field. They have got to bounce back on this possession after throwing a pick six last time out here. Runs through the defender.
I'll take that every single time. Offensive line does a nice job up front. This back's vision and ability to get positive yards by lowering his pads on full display right there.
The game makes it second and medium. They snap it. Quarterback looking to throw the ball. He's got it for a big gain. An explosive play. They finally got him, but at the 40. The Gamecocks looking to use the up-tempo offense here.
That is great arm strength and accuracy by this quarterback. And let's not forget the wide receiver's job of bringing it in for that big gain.
Looking to throw it on first down. And that is interception number 5 as the nightmare performance continues. And he's wrapped up after a solid return.
Just a great job of anticipating that and coming up with a big interception by this defense. Because they have this lead, they've really forced this offense to become one-dimensional. They're expecting the ball to be into the air. The defensive backs have their eyes on the ball, and they're able to capitalize with a big pick here in the national title.
Offense moving receivers around now before the snap. They tackle him right at the 35-yard line. Second down after that run on the previous play. Defense not pressing this time. Quarterback looking to pass here on second down. Catch made on the right side. Finds just enough space and makes the first down.
That's another accurate throw by this quarterback. And Chris, when we did our prep to get ready for the national championship, we all knew that this quarterback potentially could have a big day. But I didn't expect him to get into this kind of zone. This guy cannot miss just having one of those dream performances.
And looking to throw now on first down. He makes the grab. Not much after the catch, but it is good enough for a first down.
Well, he continues to have time to throw the football, and he makes his defense pay for it. Now, they realized coming into this game, they had to take away his ability to throw the football downfield. But it's the receivers and their plays after the catch that's really giving them a hard time.
Pitch play to the back. Gets some space around the 30. Finally brought down, but the option produces a big game that time. That's great execution.
How about setting the edge there on the right side of that offensive line? I wouldn't be surprised if they keep going back to the well, pounding it behind that right guard and right tackle and tight end, seeing what additional damage they can do.
That one falls incomplete. Good defensive play. Brings up second down. No huddle here for the offense. Secondary up now, trying to jam these receivers. Looking to pass here on second down. He's got it right near the end zone. Tackled after the catch, but the ball moves to the 4-yard line.
Well, you wonder if the receiver adjusted his route to get closer to that first down line. Whatever he did, it works. Move the sticks.
And the offense will now quickly spend a timeout. And the Gators will line up here on first down and goal. Linebackers maybe trying to confuse the line with some movement. The back's got it on the pitch. Touchdown, Gators. And the beatdown continues. Backfield now as they go for two. And looks like the quarterback's going to run it. And he'll make it into the end zone to increase the lead even more. Getting set to kick the ball off now. And it comes out of the 25. No return attempted there. South Carolina offense is back out on the field. They had some good things going on the last drive, but it ended suddenly with the pick. Let's see what they can do here. Breaking free at the 35. They bring him down, but that's a good play. Moves the ball to the 39.
It was a nice job up front by the offensive line, but give the running back an assist for setting those blocks up before he's able to get downfield for the first down.
And then first down, they go right back to him. That's a nice tackle there by the senior.
But the defense coordinator this week all week telling us about gap integrity, not giving this running back any creases at all. Really sound defense on that play.
Important second down play coming up. Quarterback drops back. We're going to test the secondary. Here's another interception. We're losing track. Going the other way, can they catch him? And he steps out after a nice return. What a momentum shifter this could be.
Boy, would this quarterback love to have this one back. They're trying to work themselves back into this game here in the second half, and the defense comes up with a big turnover that could be the nail in the coffin.
Here's the second down play. From the shotgun, drops back, looking for an open man. Finds his target, and it's complete. That's a big game before he goes out of bounds. It'll move the sticks more than enough for a first down. The Gators move into the red zone. Heavy blitz look here pre-snap. He'll pitch it.
Man, you know, the back gets a lot of the attention here, and he's a good back. I'd love to see that offensive line win the battle at the line of scrimmage.
Offense comes up to the line. They might have a chance for a couple more plays before the quarter expires. Makes the catch. Can he get in? Touchdown, Florida. To stretch the lead, the route is on. They're setting out to try the PAT. Quarterback. Oh, they flip it to the kicker. He's looking to throw. And the pass is intercepted. A takeaway for the defense. Kickoff team on the field getting set now. He's going to bring this out a few yards deep in the end zone. Ball carrier brought down. What is the final play of this third quarter?
Florida 42, South Carolina 7.
Back at it to start the quarter. Offense getting set to run a first down play.
Get set, get set.
Keeping it on the ground here. Stop after a small gain. Now looking at 2nd and 9. Again, thrown out of the RPO, and it's complete. They bring him down after a short gain there.
This is an example of a quarterback and his offense just taking what the defense gives you. Not a huge play, but positive yards. The defense wants to give that throw to you. You take it, get the ball to your receiver, stay ahead of the sticks.
Tackle made after a big gain. The Gamecocks come up to the line to crank the tempo up here. So the offense calls a timeout here. That's their first of the half. And the Gamecocks lining up here on 1st and 10.
Cricket.
Offense looking to throw the ball. There's a fumble way behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, just like running backs, quarterbacks, when they decide to pull the ball down and run, they've got to protect it. He left it out away from his body exposed, and it got knocked away. He's very fortunate he had a teammate who was able to get on top of it.
Second down, we're going to throw it. And he'll fling this one deep down the middle. Oh, the pass is picked off. And the Florida offense retakes the field. This has been a dominant performance so far. Up double digits at the break, building on the lead here in the second half. Quarterback escapes the pocket and takes off. Nothing open downfield, so we'll just throw it away.
Man, the defense took everything away from him. What do you expect him to do? He can't force the ball into traffic and potentially throw the interception. Does a good job of getting out of the pocket, away from the pressure, and just throw the ball away. See what happens on this next down.
No press here. The defense backing away. Launching it. He pulls it in for a big gain. Marked out of bounds, but it's another big gain. This air attack, no problem moving the ball up and down the field today.
Man, they're already up big in this game, and now they're taking shots downfield. They're just looking to pour it on right now. Still throwing the football, and vertical shots to boot.
The offense really clicking here. They'll run the option. Pitches to the back. The defense all over it. They stop him right at the line.
Chris, textbook job by the defense surrounding the runner and preventing that play from being bounced to the outside.
Quarterback wants to throw it on second down. The pocket breaking down. Gets the ball off as he's hit, but it's incomplete. They're backed up here, trying to make something happen on third and long. A quick throw out left, complete. And the defense wraps him up quickly. Got about 5 yards of the completion, but now it's fourth down. The Gators will come to the line looking to convert on fourth down. Needs a completion here on fourth down. He's got it, and that is enough for a first down. It's a quick tackle, but a solid gain. Moves the ball to the 15-yard line.
They're still trusting this quarterback to make great throws, and why not? He has had a game you dream about in the national championship. Every throw right on the money. He's had time to make great throws, and he is delivered to be, in my opinion, the MVP of the national title.
Tackled at the 8 after the completion.
This defense has got to be aware of these quick throws to these wide receivers. They're lucky he didn't come up with more yards.
And that's the 2-minute warning as this offense tries to work the clock, getting closer now to an impressive victory. Here comes a crucial second down play. Every yard tough to find down here in the red zone. Handoff to the back. They'll keep the clock moving. Touchdown, Gators. And this one is getting ugly. That's another touchdown, a dream performance for this running back on the biggest possible stage.
I mean, Chris, we're talking about the national championship. This defense has had a lot of time to prepare. They've heard all about him. In fact, they told us the only chance we have to win this game is we've got to stop their ability to run the ball and stop their running back. So far, they're struggling.
Here's the kickoff team now, set to boot this one away. And from deep in the end zone, he'll bring it out. That's strong coverage, though. They tackle him at the 11-yard line. And the Gamecocks offense is back out there on the field. They need a couple miracles here in the final 2 minutes to rescue what's been a very, very rough outing so far. Tackle made after a solid run by the junior.
Well, depending on the temperament of the head coach, he's either turning to the bench and screaming, where in the heck was that all hit? Or maybe he's just kind of keeping that to himself, thinking, all right, maybe this is something to build on. Maybe something positive can come out of this. You're going to have some bad games from time to time. We'll see how he gets his team ready in the future. That right there, man, that's what they've been looking for all game.
Looks like the QB is changing the play at the line. Fakes the handoff, looking to throw. Now in the final couple minutes, here's a deep shot. It's picked off. He tried to fire the ball into a tight window. Not much on the return, but that's an important takeaway. Sets up the offense at the 34.
Oh, man, Chris, I really thought this offense had a chance to get back into this game. The only thing you'd hate to see is the interception. But give credit to the defense. They come up with a big play that potentially ices the game.
They stop him at the 47, but that's enough for a first down. The running play gives the offense a fresh set of downs. Running game is working. They'll stick with it on first down. He's brought down, but the game moves the ball to the 39.
You know, I'd say this run is pretty emblematic of what we've seen all day long. No matter what they've done on offense, the guys up front have controlled the line of scrimmage. They've given a quarterback time to throw. They've been able to run, really, whatever they wanted to. That's why the points are going up on the board. Right now, the psyche of this offense...
Breaks clear, end zone ahead. Touchdown, Florida, and the route is on.
You know, coaches love to see a football team that doesn't get caught up in the scoreboard. They're just out executing and doing what needs to be done. That's what we're seeing from this offense. Yeah, they continue to put points on the board and they're pulling away. I just love to see the execution and how they're going about their business.
And that'll do it. We have a national champion. What an emphatic statement to close out this national championship run. You know, the coach told his guys, go out there and leave no doubt. Let's say mission accomplished.
Well, sometimes a team wins a national championship and they just got hot at the right time. And then there's other times when it's been clearly the best team in college football all year. To me, these guys have been right up there as the top team in college football, and it's very fitting that they not only win it, but they win it in grand fashion.
Well, that's it. Dramatic punctuation to another outstanding season of college football. For Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Chris Fowler, and this has been a presentation of EA Sports College Football. They are official, your kings of college football and national champions, the Florida Gators.